ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to everyone's favorite Hive podcast. Again, I don't even know why we call this CryptoManiacs. Let's be brutal. Do I really care what's happening with Matic? Do I really care what's happening with Binance Smart Change? No, I don't care.
I figure you'd be. I figure you'd be concerned about Uniswap.
Oh, Uniswap is my favorite.
Uni
I
token.
can't tell you. Yeah, no, this is the CryptoManiacs / Hive Maniacs podcast. We will rebrand one day, I promise. I'm Django. That's Task. We're here for the party. Hope you guys are too. We're going to do something a little different today, and I'm going to actually go do it right now while Tasks, maybe you explain exactly what we're doing.
Okay. Well, as everybody knows, and maybe you don't know, because we hide it so well.
Very.
But John and I are fans of the Hive blockchain.
Slightly.
We believe in using the stuff on Hive. And because of that, there is it's not a new feature out. Leo Threads has been out a while, but a week ago there was an update, new front end that's in alpha stage that really has made Threads more like Twitter. And so what we are doing is we are doing what's called a threadcast, because we have a broadcast, this show, and we are using Leo Threads, where anybody can go in and drop a comment, drop a question, make fun of either myself or John. That's okay. That's acceptable too. If you feel so inclined, if you want to compliment me or John, on the off chance you want to do that, we'll take compliments too. We will be going in there and engaging and answering questions, not only on the air, but if you mention something that John isn't going to talk about on air, but let's say you have a question about HivePay, he may answer it there instead of talking about it on air, something like that. And I believe right now John is dropping the links to the different feeds, because as of this time we cannot stream through Threads, so we have to use other streaming services, which we use Twitter, we use Vim.
Yes,
are we on YouTube or no? It's on Twitter.
Yes, we are on YouTube right now because Eliana is actually talking to us.
YouTube.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is we are incorporating Threads and what people on Leo Threads have called a threadcast into the show, so that way it's not just a one-way communication where we talk and you listen. You can participate and get active and ask questions, make comments about what we comment on, disagree with us, agree with us, whatever you want to do. And John and I will most likely, I may be a little delayed because between views and Leo Threads, my voting power gets zapped. So we will be going through, if you leave some comments, and we'll probably be upvoting those comments and giving you some rewards for participating.
That's what we do. It's interesting. Big shout out to the CTP community too for showing up. Appreciate you guys. There was a new member of the CTP community that joined yesterday and was kind of asking questions and dove right in and started posting on Hive like right away. And we were kind of talking about that, Blaine and I, with this member. I mean, like, this is the secret, right? I mean, this is really the way to do it here on the blockchain. Like, use these tools every day. Just every single day, use them. No, you can use it on your phone. I mean, I was using Threads on my phone with the keychain app. We're using Vim right now. We're doing the Threadcast. We're just use this stuff, because not only will we upvote it, but you'll get people to know you. You'll add value to the chain. You'll grow your account, even if it's just a little bit of Leo, a little bit of Hive here and there, a little bit of CTP. You're still going to be growing your account. But you're rewarded for being active here. And it's really important as a community that we understand how vital. It doesn't matter if you have 100 Hive power, 100 Leo power, or 100,000. Everyone is needed here. So, yeah, that's my rant. Not even a rant. It's kind of a let's go team. Go team Hive.
Well, what you're saying is true, because none of us operate in a vacuum. We're all part of the same. I use the term cooperative. It's like a housing cooperative. It's we're all in the same neighborhood, and everything we do. I mean, if John, cleans up his front porch and tends to his bushes and repaints the fascia, makes his house look nice and his front yard look nice. That helps me living next to him, me living across the street from him, and it improves the entire community to pick it up. And that's the same thing here. And in my opinion, the stock and trade is transactions. And so by engaging in different transactions, by putting up threads, by commenting on threads, you're stimulating two-way conversation, which then also triggers upvotes, which triggers payout 7 days later. It triggers an assortment of different things. And really it's very interesting because we've been talking for a few months, John, about the interoperability and integration. And one of the biggest things that I proposed when Views came out was, and it was actually one of the first things Blaine did to shut me the hell up, is he put a button and a link right from Views to Leo Threads. Yep. And he also ended up putting one for Twitter and also putting one for DBuzz. Yep. And so now you can go in and be in Views and click this button and send that post over to Leo Threads. It's very simple. A pop-up window shows up. You just put in what you want. The link's there. The hashtag for Views is there to give Views a little publicity. But the other day, what went live was Posh. But Posh has been adapted down to Gosh. And anybody who's familiar with the Posh token, and what that stands for, and the idea of taking Hive content, putting it out on Web2 social media to try to garner attention, will earn you some tokens. The Posh token. Now they've come up with a way of doing the same thing for Leo Threads. It's a different token because this is not really an outreach to bring people into the Hive community, but it's kind of a way to help the Hive community, help content creators, help activity, increase transactions, all of that. And so now, right from Views, you're going through Views, you see something that's of interest. You say, this would be pretty cool on Leo Threads. You scroll to the bottom, you hit Threads, you put in what you want, you hit submit or whatever the button is. I can't remember the name. And it shows up on Leo Threads. Again, keep in mind, these are all comments according to the blockchain. So none of this shows up in your blog post. So if you're a serious blogger, don't worry, this isn't going to affect your blog. And then all of a sudden, you could be earning Gosh token. In addition to having that, if it's upvoted, you'll get some Leo, you'll get some Hive power, you'll get some HBD because it is a comment, and that's what comments tend to be paid out on, and whatever other tokens are associated with people's account. And you have people throwing pizza and throwing LOLZ in there and other types of tokens that are around. That's being tossed around on people's threads. So it really is, like we've talked about, John, just an expansion of the ways to get involved, to be rewarded. And yes, this is, I mean, you're not going to get rich off one thread. This is, a couple of us were talking earlier in the week, and we were saying, this is like the old faucets. Remember 5 years ago, John, the faucets? You do these goofy things, and you stop every 10 minutes to get
that's how I found Steam.
Yeah.
EOBot.
Yeah. So you go and you show up every 10 minutes and you press a button and you get like one millionth of a penny of something. So if you do it for 80 years, you get something. But that's exactly what we're looking here, except you can do it multiple times a day. And Threads is really becoming an epicenter for this ecosystem. It's a communication tool. We're using it. It was kind of used a little bit during the AMA, which is amazing. Cal has an AMA and they're on fucking Discord. So you explain that to me. But we did a threadcast on Saturday for CTT. They are going to be setting up a threadcast out of their official account on this Saturday, and so they're going to really promote that and try to utilize it. The Spanish community, we had Eddie Spino. He was on here last week. He jumped on Threads like the day after, and he said, "I want this Spanish tag to be trending." And like within 2 days, he got Spanish trending. It's been trending ever since then. And the Spanish community is coming over. And I didn't realize till just today, Leo Finance is giving out delegations to communities, LP delegations to communities to bring your community and use Threads. And so I think they started like with 25,000 LP to these different communities to curate their members to help spread Leo, to help the user base, to help people getting involved. So I think there's just a lot going on, and we haven't seen even Splinterlands, anybody promoting or putting stuff up about Splinterlands. I mean, you have your battles, you can throw up your Splinterlands battle. Rising Star has a very good representation. In fact, Rising Star is probably 20-1 in terms of Rising Star threads versus Splinterland threads. For some reason, I mean, the Splinterlanders aren't there. But if you want to do an outreach, I mean, it's a great place.
I got a few things I want to talk about, but I still want to hammer on Threads here because this is obviously the biggest news, especially like you've been just an absolute beast. You were trending for a bit. Cal was the #1 trending topic for a while now, but you were starting to trend, man.
Was I didn't notice that. Yeah, I got, who was it? There were a few of us on there. It was actually last Monday. It was before the app was released, and we just started putting hashtag Cal in everything. Yeah. And I spent all afternoon, and a bunch of other us, we were there for hours doing it, and we carried it over to the release of the new UI. So we got him up there, and then we said, fuck it, we're done with Cal. And so he's dropped off.
You were there. You're not there anymore, though, sir. So sorry to break the news.
It was short-lived fame.
Yeah, it's okay though. It's okay. Good Morning Friends is still trending. I
don't partake in that.
Such a crypto thing. I had a question I asked on Threads, and I'll ask it to you. Do you find yourself clicking the hashtags now to look? Now I know this is alpha, and there's going to be a lot more changes, and they're going to have it to. But do you find yourself looking at specific trending tags or tags that are inside of people's posts?
Yes. Well, I do one that I'm kind of promoting, crypto news. I've started to try to drop when people go to the mainstream crypto media, Cointelegraph or whatever some of these are, or they go to CoinGecko and click on links, and you grab a link off there and you bring it and you post on Threads. Use the hashtag crypto news, because that's something I think as a resource center is helpful. A lot of them know I don't use the tags so much to go through and look for stuff, because I'm always scrolling through the recent feed. Well, there is only one feed, but so I'm always scrolling through the feed. So I don't really miss much, at least when I'm awake. But at a certain point in time, there are going to be other ways of filtering out information. At some point, we are told that there's going to be a follow feed where you only get, stuff from your followers. Cal has a great idea about lists that are going to go in there. So I can put you, Django, on my list.
You're multitasking here. Like, you literally responded to my thread question while you're talking. That's insane. How did you do that? You were a machine. Just admit it. Just admit it for everyone.
Well, you were talking, so I went in there and I answered your question.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it wasn't a very deep question. I mean, if you wanted
to. Speaking of When Moon, we hit 50 cents yesterday. I don't know what we're at now.
I think we pulled back.
It pulled back, but the reason I did that is because I had some liquid hive, so I cashed some out when it hit 50.
Look at you, the trader.
Right? Like, aren't I just like insanely smart? But no, it's I got to give credit to my wife for that, because I said we were at a certain amount, and because the price went up, we made a few $100. She's like, take that out. Whatever you just made, take that. And I'm like, my wife doesn't do trading. How does she know this stuff? And like, I'm an idiot.
Well,
Well, that's a bad
do
question, but yeah, yeah.
well, that requires a lot longer than this show is.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
women tend to be better traders than men, believe it or
Yeah.
not. They,
Completely no emotion. Just, dude, you're in
which
profit.
when it
Like,
comes
take it
to
out.
trading, they tend to not get sucked up in the emotion the same as men. This is
Yeah.
studies have been done, and women tend to be better traders than men. I mean, they're like 1 out of 100 traders are women. I mean, it's just not a lot of them in there, but women do better. Um, yeah, I mean, that's cool. Anytime you cash
Oh,
out
yeah.
and make a
Yeah.
profit, what the hell? You can't complain. And we've been running through a channel. Cal says he's been flipping HBD and Hive back and forth and scalping for a week or so. So
Right.
I mean, you can do that if that's your thing. And sometimes just pocketing a couple $100 on a quick move is pocketing a couple $100. So
Yeah.
um, you know, but get back to what I was saying. It's when you start to look at incorporating all of this stuff in and getting active and getting busy and what you and Blaine were talking about and just diving right in. And to be perfectly frank, John, the last 2 weeks have between our interviews and what we see going on with Leo Threads, the ecosystem changing between the D-Buzz CryptoManiac show we had, between Leica 2 we had last Thursday, I guess,
Mhm.
between what Eddie and the Spanish community are doing, including Hive Cuba, and
Right.
now with this UI and Leo Threads. And, we also see people like they call me Dan. I mean, he put out, and I sent this out on Twitter and said, I guess official, because Dan put on Threads better than Twitter,
Right.
and Dan's a heavy Twitter user. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is some of the areas we're starting to penetrate. People are watching Threads, and
Yeah.
people are starting to grasp what's there, the potentiality, and we have a lot of different communities coming over who are talking about all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, the worry about people being finance focused,
Right.
I mean, it's quickly dissipating because, quite frankly, there's very little financial stuff on there. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just people all over the place talking about whatever, which is great. And, I mean, probably 30% of what's on there I can't read because it's in Spanish, which I
Yeah.
think is terrific. And, I mean, these people don't need to cater to me. This is the Spanish community. And, you know, and our guest on next Thursday is saying that I'm going to be speaking some Spanish on air. So I'm
That is Jon Snow, right? If I'm
yes, Jon Snow. That's what I was trying to think of when I was saying Bill Bragg, and
Oh, yeah.
particularly Jon
You're getting
Snow.
confused, man. You're threading out here. This is
I
task.
know.
I'm glad you mentioned like too, because I still can't get over that awesome interview we had with Elmer last week, and there was something that he said that I wanted to bring out and really highlight, because what he said really hit me, and I've been thinking about it since we had that talk with him. If you remember, well, I mean, not if you remember, obviously you know, but like if people aren't familiar with his marketing approach, he hasn't marketed like to yet. But what his strategy was to basically put his money where his mouth was, and here is my investment into Hive. So I'm going to basically fund the community, to develop the community, to reward the community, to help the token distribution. So his strategy wasn't to sit there and look for delegation, wasn't sitting there going, with a handout. He literally said, I'm going to fund this myself. And that, to me, is just such a powerful way of building an app, building a community, building a presence on Hive. I think this is like, and I'm not saying like not everybody's going to have the capital that some people do, but when you see a startup token, a startup community, and they're the first thing they ask for is delegation. I literally go to their wallet and I see what they've personally invested.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, if you want, like, this is just my opinion. The way that Elmer did this for Like To, basically, it's like this a massive amount of goodwill towards the community. Like, here, I'll create the app, I will fund this, I will make sure that the tokens are distributed. You guys just go and use this thing. It's a lot easier to do it that way, and obviously it depends on how much capital you have, but then saying, hey, I've got a really good idea, but I need delegation. Come give me some hive power. And it's kind of my blog post yesterday about this angel investing 3.0, I'm calling it, right? Not 2.0, 3.0. Go with Web3. It's a new way of doing investing online and building communities and all sorts. I know I'm all over the place here, but my I just keep thinking of how he's approaching it, and I hope more community leaders take that approach to building communities and apps on the chain.
Well, what he did was he bought instant credibility. I mean, there's no doubt, like you said, you go to the wallet and you look in the wallet, and when you see somebody with a boatload of Hive, we know how this works. We know where we stand, John, based upon what's in our wallets, and somebody who looks in your wallet or my wallet, who has 5,000 Hive power, is going to look at your wallet and my wallet in a way that is much different
Right.
than Elmer or Dan. They call me Dan. Will look at our wallets.
Right.
Now, how you get there is almost irrelevant. Obviously, it's taken you and I a long time, and we did purchase some Hive along the way, but the majority of our stuff is from being content creators. It took a long time to get there. It took a long time to get that reputation, to get that credibility, to have the people look at us as these are reliable, dedicated people to Hive.
Right.
If we came in and instantly shot our account to a couple million Hive, well, I mean, you may not have the same credibility, but that gives you a lot of that gives you some wiggle room, because all of a sudden it's like people look at you and it's like, well, he wasn't here yesterday, he's here today, and suddenly he has a million or 2 million or 3 million Hive. It's like, okay. And then, like you are saying, he's not out there begging for delegation. He's out there, and you look at what's taking place now. Speak Network is different because it's in infrastructure, but 3Speak has not been funded out of the DHF. Right. Leo Finance has gotten no money, nor have they submitted for any money out of the DHF. Like it to Elmer, same thing. And so what you have is you have people who, and we talk about this, who are entrepreneurs, who are putting their money where their mouth is. They're funding the stuff, and they realize they are going to get their rewards in different ways. I mean, Dan and Starkers, they do an airdrop, so they get rewarded the same way as everybody else. This thing takes off. They have a stake based upon their high percentage, just like everybody else. They did not pay themselves a founder's stake. Cal has been doing the same thing that since day one that I started on day like 30 or day 35. And he's been out there posting and commenting and getting upvotes and curating. And yes, he's been buying Leo along the way, and he's been adding to his Leo holdings and his high power holdings for that matter. So, that's, and what are the leading applications, if you will? And it's kind of hard to say, but right now you have to look at what Leo Finance is doing. You certainly have to look at Sputterlands. And again, I mean, you can say what you want about it, but there was a lot of effort put in by Yaba and by Agro, and they did what they had to do. So you have that. I'm optimistic about like it too. I'm optimistic, as I've said numerous times, about views. You and Blaine aren't funded. You're self-funding and doing it out of, stuff you're getting from the chain and whatnot. It just, that's what it takes. And if you get a little delegation and some things here and there to help build your community, wonderful. I mean, if CTP went and asked and said, Cal, we want to be a part of Threads, and they gave you 25,000 legal power delegation, you had success. It went to 40, it went to 50, it went to 60. Great. That helps you out. You can reward your community. That'll move you up in the ranks on Threads and maybe give the CTP community more exposure. Wonderful. But that's not going to be the basis of your community going forward, or the development going forward. And that's the difference. And, it always comes back to commitment. If you don't have any skin in the game, it's easy just to walk away.
Right.
If you got, if basically everybody says, not everybody, but people ask me, why are you so dedicated? I got no choice. I mean, all my chips are moved to the center of the table. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I've gone bust. They say, well, have a backup plan. I got no backup plan.
I have no plan B. None.
I got no plan B.
None.
This is it. I'm ride. It's Dan says, ride or die. Yes, that's exactly it. I'm soaring to the moon, or I'm fucking homeless. That's the way it goes. And I mean, one of the guys I follow is Elon. And I mean, Elon made so much money. He made enough money off of, what was it, XYZ or whatever the hell.
Oh, PayPal. Just selling PayPal.
No, before that, he sold
X.com.
X.com, then PayPal. And each layer, he made even more millions of dollars. He could have been set at any of those layers.
Right.
And he ends up almost homeless. I mean, he lived in his car for a while because all his money was in Tesla. And I think he started SpaceX by that time too. So, the guy's the wealthiest man in the world, but 14, 15 years ago, he's living in his car. That's, he was committed to what he believed. And I mean, my belief in Hive is not superficial. My belief in Hive is not to write a few articles so you'll upvote me, or so people with high power will upvote me. My belief in Hive is genuine, and I'm committing the biggest money there is, my life.
Time.
I mean, I got
time
no plan.
invested.
What?
Time invested. That's your biggest asset.
Yeah, well, time invested, all my money, everything. I mean, I'm not powering down and taking out. I mean, I'm going to have to take some stuff. Well, I might sell some other currencies on the e-chain that we don't talk about, just so John doesn't cringe.
Dude, I have so much.
But I might sell some of them to carry me a little bit. But, eventually I'm going to have to start dipping into this. But, that's just what it is. I mean, if people say, well, if Hive goes bust and goes to zero in a year, where are you going to be? The answer is fucked. That's my honest answer. I will be fucked. But, I'm willing to make that commitment. And, if I'm right and things turn out well, then they turn out well. So, I mean, when I run across these naysayers, it's like, you put the shit on the line that I do. And, to be honest with you, and I'm not saying this to be self-congratulatory, because there's a lot of people in this situation. Dan and Starkers are two of them. I mean, Dan is not liquid. He has most of his shit in crypto, and a lot of his crypto shit is in Hive. Elmer, I don't know what resources Elmer has outside of what he was dealing with there, but let's be honest, Elmer has a lot of shit in Hive. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that were this way. And, I mean, it's not that any of us I would probably be screwed more than the other ones, because Dan could go and hustle some poker games up, and Elmer could go code something. I can't play poker. I can't code, and I can't.
You're going to have to go to Noster. You're going to have to go to Noster and get your $2.40 for creating sats.
I will probably be part of the wonderful employment pool of Walmart.
Yes. Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, it's funny. It's something I learned years ago, and being an entrepreneur, I used to like read books, like I still do, but I mean, I was infatuated with learning, learning, learning. And one of the things I learned from a lot of authors was the F word, focus. And they said that all of this multiple streams of income sounds really good on paper, but you have to focus. You have to go all in on something. And then you've got to do that better than everyone or really good. And when you're focused, and just like you are, you're now the number one rewarded author on the blockchain. You're a major token holder in Leo. You're a champion of the brand. But it wasn't because you said, okay, well, I'm going to go to Torum and I'm going to go to here and I'm going to worry about Bitcoin maxis and I love them and I'm going to go to Ethereum. And no, you said, I'm going to sit at Hive and I'm going to focus here. And then there's an awesome project I really love called Leo Finance, and I'm going to focus here. And that's been your focus. And now all of a sudden, just like you said, I might have to sell some tokens off on the e-chain. Do you care about the e-chain, or are you just saying I'm just doing this so I can feed my like it's just it's because you focused. And most people they hear this, but are they willing to do that? Like, are you willing to basically dedicate 5 years of your life to this project, to this blockchain? And most people aren't. Most people aren't. They just aren't. And it's not looking down on anyone. It's just some people are dedicated to it. Other people have a million things that they're doing, and they have the attention span of goldfish. But this is again what we started the talk with. Like, just get out there and be active. Like, if you're not going to go all in on something, I think you should like strategically go all in on something. Don't just put everything on red, put everything on black. No, nothing like that. I'm just saying, strategically get into this and just poke around and look around and ask questions and take part in the thread cast and a thread storm. What is it, a thread storm or a thread cast? What is it? Thread
This
cast.
is a thread cast. A thread storm is kind of like a Twitter storm where you throw up a thread and then you comment to yourself because you got 20 threads that you're basically doing a blog post in threads, just like people do tweet storms. Threadcast, because this is a broadcast, and we could do this if we were watching the Buffalo Bills play on Sunday. We could have a threadcast, and oh god damn, Josh Allen, why is he throwing to the other team again? And
why is it got to be Josh Allen throwing interceptions? Like, why is it got to do that? Why do you got to do that? Poor Josh. Like, Josh gets no respect, man. Josh Allen is the Rodney Dangerfield of the NFL. You know that, right? Like, okay,
what the fuck do I know? I'm the one who roots for a team with a quarterback who suddenly feels he deserves $45 million a year.
Ah, yes, the Giants with Daniel Jones.
It's like they didn't offer you a fifth year. They didn't pick up your fifth year because they were questionable. And so now, well, I did good this year. I want $45 million a year. It's like, can I have what you're drinking? But anyway, and I could comment about Josh Allen throwing an interception. Then Threadcast, you could say, Tess, why are you talking about Josh Allen throwing an interception? Everybody talks about throws interceptions.
Okay, here, I'll do it right
now. Why the hell didn't the left guard block? And the guy was around his ankles. And it's like, okay, you got a valid point. But we could do that in the Threadcast. Or we could do this in March Madness if you're a college basketball player and you got Xavier versus Duke or whoever. And yeah, I mean, you could do Threadcasts on those.
Well, I just asked you the question because I think this is a tough sell, but I'm starting to see people come around to it. And the one of the we mentioned his project earlier, but one of the guys that I think it's really gone off in his head how powerful this could be is going to be Acid, because he created Posh, which with on Threads it's Gosh. He loves him some Twitter, loves Twitter, and it was always like people on Hive seem to say, like they love these things, but then they're using Discord all the time. They're using Twitter all the time. They're using TikTok all the time. They're using all of these things. But when I saw Acid basically have this like aha moment with Threads and seeing him, he was there all last night talking up a storm. And,
well,
and yes,
it's interesting how that came about. That's a real funny story.
That's you, right? Wasn't that you bugging people?
Well, it was. It ended up being, but it wasn't direct. I responded to Cal, and I said, and it was because I was in Views, and I was sending shit over from Views, and I said, Cal, is there any way where when a Hive-based post ends up on Threads,
Threads, right.
that you could have Threads recognize that and drop in the post, this was submitted to Threads by, John G. Olson.
Right.
And so that way the author knows that this post was submitted to Threads. Cal didn't answer me. He just said, he just tagged Asidio and said, Asidio, could you do something with this, or is there something
Right.
that can be done with this? And Asidio replied, "Yeah, I'll have, we'll take a look." And then he tagged, I believe it was either in that or in another thread, he tagged Hive Trending. And next thing you know, like a day later, Asidio gets on there and says, "We're going to have this up and running, and
Love it. Love
soon."
it. Yeah.
And it was like, dude, we just like mentioned it, and I didn't even mention it to Posh, but Cal was the one who said, "Hey, maybe we can do it with Posh." And then Hive Trending is on there, and Hive Trending saying, "Okay, it's working, a couple bugs, but it's going. Have fun."
Right.
And then he'd say, "Okay, well, I put something up." He says it's not showing, and he said, "I'm working on it right now, fix."
Right.
And he was doing it kind of in real time. And that's the cool thing about Hive, is when you have some of this infrastructure in place, and all of a sudden there's an idea,
You can implement
somebody around who already spent the time building the infrastructure can adapt it and say, boom,
Yes.
go right
Yes.
over.
It's like, this is the I think they call me Dan used to say this years ago. This is the blockchain for builders, and everyone said, but I remember him doing a lot of videos and a little content talking about building, 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 and that's what's so cool. And you see Block Trades doing this with all of the stuff he's doing with Half, and it's all going to be just like you said. You get an idea, you can implement it on Hive. You don't need to go and ask for permission here. You have an idea, put it into action, and it was awesome to see that. And I love it. I mean,
and it's like with Leo Glossary. It was asked during the AMA. Somebody asked to put a thread and tagged it AMA, and Cal was scanning the AMA tag. And somebody asked, "Are you going to incorporate Leo Glossary into this where it makes it easy?" And he says, "Yes, I have an idea." And then he went on this long-winded answer about, they got to upgrade Leo Infra, and there's a lot of stuff on the back end that has to be done before polls and some of the other upcoming features are going to be possible. So they got to do some back end work, which is basically been in operation. So they're just going to have to complete it and roll it out. But that was just something I started, and it's being incorporated. And it was like, well, we have Leo Threads, Views is out. Blaine, can you connect the two? And he did it. And he did it in an hour and 15 minutes. It didn't take him long. And so now Hive Trending went out, and Asidio talked to him, and all of a sudden they put this together with Leo Threads. Then a day later he puts up a post. Well, I'm going to be putting up a post tomorrow about this and a new token. We're going to do an airdrop. Where the hell did that come from? Well, he decided he didn't want to do it under Posh, so now it's under Gosh. Okay, well, Posh is for external marketing. Okay, fine. He that's it. That's the parameters of the project. And so now they added a new segment, and the tentacles of the Posh Gosh project have gotten further. So, I don't know what I don't know what insight Asidio has specifically to Threads versus Twitter in terms of that type of thing and the potentiality. Obviously, he sees something. If for no other reason, he sees this as a great outlet for Hive content to share it, and he sees it as a nice extension for his project, which is fine. If that's what he sees and that's how he sees it, great. If he sees it as something, hey, maybe this could grow into something really big. Okay, great. I don't know. I don't. It's hard for me to judge how people see this because I'm so immersed in it. To me, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I see I see the full transition of Hive because I'm surrounded by it. I did 1,900 fucking threads last week, so I mean I'm immersed in it to the point where everything looks like a nail because all I'm walking around with is hammers. So I don't know how other people see it, but when somebody like Dan says Threads is better than Twitter, I know some of that's tongue in cheek, but that's an eye opener. When Asidio's he's coming around and he's starting to engage a little bit, and when he all of a sudden says this is a great place for my project, that means something. When other communities in the skateboarding community and some of these other communities, okay, I understand they're being given LP, so they're kind of being motivated or incentivized to come on over, but it's amazing to watch. And maybe you're a better person. You're a big tweetster. You've been a tweetster for years. And, I know you've been busy and so your time hasn't been what it used to the last couple of weeks. So your activity on Threads the last week may have been different if you didn't have the time commitment. But what do you think about the project being a longtime Twitter user? What are your thoughts on it?
What, Threads myself? I absolutely love it. And this is the thing. There's got to be a big asterisk beside for people. Like there's going to be people that are saying, well, it's not Twitter, doesn't have the reach, you can't follow the people that you want to see. Got to remember, this is literally a week old and it's constantly being improved upon. It's like you said, it's the aha moment. So Acid had it. They call me Dan is on Threads right now. Threading up a storm, having a good old time. People will get it and they'll understand it, how powerful it is. So what you see right now is not the end product. What you do have to see is that you can use your phone for it. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. So regardless of the app, if it comes or if it doesn't come, the fact that people can log on to Keychain and go on the browser and use it on their phone, this opens it up to the world. The entire world has access to this. Now, just like you said, if you have the mentality, not necessarily the people on Hive, but if you give the mentality of that this is a faucet, quote unquote, I'm using little bunny ear quotes here, that attracts a whole group of people as well. And people say, well, the content will be crap. It's not the point. You want the monthly active users. That's what you want. You want that so that this shows that there's something here. And that's what grows. It's not like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever and it's a finished product today. No, it's what it's going to be like in 6 months from now. If you have this constant growth, and I saw you thread out the numbers. I saw Cal tweet out the numbers. It's astronomical what Threads has done to the average users, monthly users on Leo. This is big. This is what we need. So I caution people, don't look at the finish. It's not a finished product. Don't look at it today. Look at the potential today and then what it's going to be in 6 months to a year from now. That's why it's really, 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 this is not financial advice. This is time advice. Really, really important that you invest the time now to start building your brand there, start networking with people, start talking to people on Leo, start getting out there consistently, not once a week, not once when I don't know what to literally, you could say, how's your day going on Threads? If you've got nothing else, to just ask a question. What's your favorite color? Do you like flowers? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be financial stuff. It doesn't have to be crypto stuff.
There's a certain group of people, their first post of the day is a good morning with a picture of their dog.
Yes.
They've been putting up pictures of their dogs. And then, of course, the cat people get upset, so they put up their cat pics. They say, we need cat pics. We don't need dog pics. Social media sites, platforms are built on cats. Okay, so post your cats. I don't have a cat or a dog, so I don't really care. But, it's just, you're right. It's just the potentiality is enormous. But you did mention something, and the key is in the URL, it says alpha. Yep. Alpha.Leo Finance. It is an alpha. But I think what you said, John, speaks to a larger backdrop, and it's a problem throughout all of Hive. And it's this comparison to Three Speak to YouTube, Threads to Twitter. It'll be like it to Instagram. It doesn't matter. And what people are doing is they're comparing YouTube to Three Speak and say, well, Three Speak's got all these problems. Three Speaks has been around for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
YouTube's been around for 17 years. YouTube wasn't that great in the early days. You know, they're on version 642, whereas Three Speaks on version 3.
Do you think that's an age thing? Because people say this all the time, just like you said. And I don't know how old people are, but I remember the first couple of years of Facebook. It was awful. You know what you could do on Facebook back in the day when it first launched, first couple of years, you could poke people. That's what you could do. That was their big killer function. You could friend, you could like people and you could talk to people. I don't even think you could like stuff. I think you could just like talk to people and then you could poke them. That's what Facebook was. So I think exactly what you're saying, people aren't given the crypto stuff enough time because they're when moon, all we want is Greek candles. So they just need that kind of speed for this stuff.
I think there is the market component, certainly. But I think even just the application component, you could be right. It could be, the ones who have the patience, if they're not developers, they're old jackasses like you and I who remember back where,
right.
back
in my day, yeah.
To see a difference, you didn't really see a difference from version 1 to version 2. It was like version 1 to version 10, and that took place over like 6 years because, like you said, okay, they added poking after about 2 years, and then like 2 years later, finally you could like something. It was very slow development because everything was there wasn't the infrastructure where you could do something.
Right? This was all new stuff.
It was
and it's the same here.
Yeah, so anything they had to build, it was like, okay, yeah, we can do that real easily, except for the infrastructure we got to build to do that. Yeah, it's not real hard to do that on the app, but on the back end, it's going to take us 9 months to build the back end to allow you to like something. Maybe that's the problem is you get all these people who are used to the mobile phones and the app age and came on and where, these things roll out. It was all VC funded. So, by the time they got the VC funding, they had working prototypes. So then the VC funded 6 more months, hire a team of high quality developers. You roll shit out, it's polished. Instead, like you said, you got blamed. I mean, that's how it is. And so I think it's like you said, like it too has been. And the nice thing about the interview with Elmer is it was readily apparent he didn't give a crap. Yeah. And I say that in a complimentary way. He was rolling it out on his schedule based upon what his team was saying, based upon what they were planning, and he didn't give a crap. He doesn't give a crap about what anybody else thinks and wants to do. They take the feedback, they incorporate the feedback they want, but this is the plan that they're implementing. And he even said, it's taken a lot of years and a lot of headaches, a lot of rebuilds, but he's to the point now where, I don't know, for some reason he said something coming up in May, which he thought I knew about. I have no clue. But anyway, there's something in May, which he said he made it appear that was a target for him and maybe some other projects. We know D-Buzz has a major update that he's shooting for at the end of this quarter. So, I mean, it's all come together at the same time. But people need to remember 6 months ago, going back to Leo Threads, it was only in August that Leo Threads was even introduced on the old UI. And yes, there were problems, but that thing's only the concept in working form is only 6 months old. And they realized they weren't going anywhere under that version. So they didn't scrap it, they kept it, but they totally built a new UI. And that's what we're seeing now. And the last week has been astronomical. So obviously they made the right decision because of the speed, the ability to grow the features. And what's cool for Leo Finance is everything else, not everything we see on Hive, but a lot of other things we see on Hive, like long form blogging, is going to be in there. Commenting through on blogs, going to be in there at some point. I mean, you can post a long form content on there now, but I don't do it because the drafts doesn't work. So if something goes sideways, then you better have your work saved elsewhere. But I mean that's just it. It's like, I mean I'm impatient, but I'm patient with views. I mean it's been since December 9th on an update. Come on, where's the update? We're going on 3 months, guys. Come on, hurry up. Come on.
I know it's framework, man, but we've been
Well, the
very
thing about
busy.
views is it works. So it's like you just keep hitting the button. It's like there's not a lot to it. I mean, there's a lot more.
No, it works out of the gate, but
What?
I said it works out of the gate, but we obviously want to, before we start doing all this development, we need to get someone who knows what they're doing for this framework.
Well, I mean, for base functionality of views, it works absolutely flawlessly. You just keep hitting a button, you hit your up and down thumbs. It works, and you can comment, you can vote, you can do all from the UI. I mean, I know there's a lot more you want to integrate into it, but basically in the foundational level of what the app is designed for, it does it.
Yeah.
So and that's the same thing with views. I mean, with Leo Threads. I think Leo Threads is a communication tool. I think it's a major epicenter. I think it's ultimately going to be a place where everybody focuses their attention, simply because if you have a community, get your ass on Threads and start promoting your community.
Dude, you got to go upvote Farm Girl. She's watching, and she said, she just put it on Threads. What's your favorite flower? They ask. So I'm putting it out there. So big shout out to Farm Girl. I gotta vote that, because that's absolutely brilliant. Yes. What's your favorite flower?
She didn't put
what
it
is
in
your favorite
in the thread, did she? In the
no, it's just she just asked a question, like in Threads itself, not in the Threadcast.
I'm not.
Threadcast has been you and I talking back and forth.
Right? Yeah, I know. Nobody's in the Threadcast, motherfuckers.
That's okay. You're talking about Josh Allen and talking about Super Bowl and Leafs, so I'm not even going to address that. But yeah, dude, this is fantastic. I mean, yeah,
we didn't talk about the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. That's for sure.
It's coming, man. They're coming. You got Daboll. You're good. Coach of the year. Good.
Yeah. Well, if we pay our quarterback $45 million, he actually plays up to being a top-notch $45 million quarterback, maybe we got a job. But anyway, it's just when you start to look at the stuff that's on there, and like you said, here's Farm Girl asking what your favorite flower is. Obviously Hash Kings and Dave Dickey all's on there, so half the crowd's probably going to say cannabis, pot. That's their favorite flower, hemp, and they're not making rope. But you can put anything on there, and I think it's cool. I don't know how long it'll take, but I think polls will be a great success because
you like that?
Posing? You trying to take me to the prom?
Well, no, we're talking flowers, and there were some fake flowers in front of me, so I just grabbed them. If you were listening to the podcast, fake flowers up to the camera. So you thought you were going to come and hear about crypto. No, you're going to hear about fake flowers.
Yeah, well, you gotta watch live to see John in his maple leaf thong.
Nah, man, that was like scary because people were just like encouraging it. Like that's a little terrifying. Like you gotta love the Hive community, man.
No wonder there's so much fake news on social media. It's amazing the shit you can start on social media. I mean, just throwing that shit about you in a thong, it's like all of a sudden it just takes off.
Blaine says orchids are his favorite flower. Thank you, Blaine. Appreciate it. Every time I get an orchid or a bonsai tree at app, I'm the killer of all things living when it comes to botany. So it's better I just keep fake flowers because I kill orchids, I kill bonsais all the time. I'm absolutely awful. So
yeah. So I mean, getting away from the flowers and
flower power.
Yeah, you're either stoner or flower girl, whatever fetish that's going on right now. Hive has so much going for it, and it's just the interoperability, and I just love seeing not so much these teams aren't working together. I mean, people say, for years have been saying, no, everybody's got to work together. No, they don't. You
Mhm.
don't work together. You go do your own shit. And then if you see an opportunity to link to something else, to integrate with something else, because it'll be advantageous to your ecosystem, you go ahead and do it. And if
Yep.
that brings
Yep.
value to your application, your platform, you do it. And I think that's what we're seeing happen with these communities, with these apps, with threads, with views and threads and views and debuzz. There's a way to enhance the value of the user experience by saying, okay, you can take this view, you can
Yep.
take this article and send it right out of views to Twitter, to Buzz, to threads. That's a value add. That
Mm.
that enhances the user experience. And so I think we're going to see a lot of this over the next couple of years, because there's finally enough infrastructure and foundation in place with a lot of this stuff that we can start to do it.
Amen to that, man. It's coming. So, as we close, I want to be crystal clear with a lot of people that might be listening to this podcast, watching the live stream. For the love of everything that's good, get active. Don't just show up once a week and say, "What's your favorite flower?" Literally ask what your favorite flower is every day on Threads. Like, just get out there and be active each
Well,
and every day,
well,
and good things
after
will
the
happen.
last week or two we've had, John, it always was the comeback. Well, I'm not a long form content creator. I'm not
Yep.
really into right
No
art.
excuse. Yep.
Well, exactly. You don't have to write long form. Get your ass on threads. Go take a picture of your favorite flower and throw it on like it to.
Yep. Yep.
You can do that. Take a
Yep.
picture of your favorite flower, throw it on threads, throw it on like
Yep.
it to, then drop your like it to on
Yeah.
threads.
Go for a 5 kilometer hike and post it on ActiveFit. Like, there's
And
whatever.
then
There's
take your ActiveFit post and throw it on threads. I mean, that's what people are doing.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
I mean, I'm seeing ActiveFit posts. I'm seeing like it to posts. I mean,
Yep.
it's like the same damn post is being recycled through 3 times, and that's
Mm.
fine. I mean, if you're a content creator and you want to do it, I mean, I wouldn't do it with every post that you do, but if all of a sudden you're on a hike and you take a picture of something interesting, you throw it through like it to, then drop it to threads, cool, do that.
Yep. Yeah, man. And you never know, because you don't know who's watching. And I really did an effort, let's say, on taking a picture of a book that I bought a week, put it on Threads. It got absolutely no traction. No one cared it at all. I go and basically say, "Good morning, friends." I get all the you don't know what's gonna work and what's not. The only way you find out is by doing it every single day and keeping out there. So that's what we have to say about that. Task. Hope you have a fantastic week. What are we doing on Thursday? Do we have a guest, or is it just?
I am waiting back on word. If we do, I was trying to get somebody. I'm going international. I'm trying to get into Ghana,
Okay.
and I don't know
Okay.
if we have that. But if not, it will be another John and I session, not talking about Ethereum,
No,
and
no Ethereum, no Matic, no.
maybe we'll
Yeah.
talk about Josh Allen not throwing interceptions.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Um, but the interceptions he threw, half of them were the left guard's fault. So I blame him.
Thank you. Thank you. At least we admit that it's the offensive line. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, the last half of Eli's career proved how bad a quarterback can be without an offensive line.
Yeah.
Next Thursday, for some reason, we switch our days up since we
I
change
know.
our schedule because of
Yeah.
John. But oh well. Next Thursday we will have John Snow,
Yes, sir.
uh, and John may actually bring Edmundo on from Venezuela. John's also in Venezuela. We tried the last couple times, so maybe the third will be the charm with Edmundo.
Perfect.
He's part of Hive Sucre. And then the week after, a week from next Thursday, after that, after John Snow, we got a Nomad Soul who
Perfect.
is the head of business development for Leo Finance, and he's putting together a new initiative. And he said when I asked him to come on, he said, "Well, wait till I get this new initiative." I said, "Well, we're planning on March, and these are the dates. do you want? And he said, I'll take that. I'll have it done by then. So he's going to
Perfect.
have some initiative out between now and then. Maybe he'll announce it on the show. If it's announced beforehand, he'll elaborate on it, but that's where we stand.
There you go. Builders, users, community members, always here on the CryptoManiacs podcast. Task, have a great week. Everyone listening in, have a great week. Be good to each other. And for the love of everything that's good, get active on Hive, get active on Threads, get out there on Views, please and thank you. Toodles.